Okay, let's dive in. We're continuing our incredible journey through paradise, picking up right where we left off in the first heaven, really grappling with some of those big questions about divine justice, just like Dante.
Yeah, that whole discussion about souls appearing in lower heavens, even while being perfectly happy, it really set the stage for understanding how God's justice works, allowing for these different levels, different capacities for bliss.
It really did. And now, well, now we ascend. We're moving into the fifth canto of paradise. And for this deep dive, our goal is really to pull out those key insights, maybe some practical wisdom that this canto holds for us, navigating our own lives.
Absolutely. And this canto, it packs a punch. We get some really profound teachings from Beatrice, then the ascent to a whole new sphere, Mercury, and an encounter with a major historical figure.
Okay, so Beatrice's teachings first. What's the main lesson she offers right at the start here? It feels like it jumps right into something pretty universal. Promises, vows.
It does. And what's striking is how Beatrice frames it. She teaches that a vow isn't just giving up something, it's actually the highest offering you can make because you are consciously sacrificing your free will, that ultimate divine gift, dedicating it to a specific purpose.
Whoa, sacrificing free will itself? Okay, that puts a whole different spin on making a promise, big or small. Suddenly feels incredibly heavy. It really underlines the seriousness, the lasting impact of our commitments.
Exactly. And she warns directly against being careless with vows. Don't just throw them around. The text even brings up figures like Jephthah from the Bible, a kind of cautionary tale about a rash promise leading to, well, disaster.
Right. That makes sense. So if our words carry that much weight, what happens if, keeping a promise becomes almost impossible or just incredibly burdensome? Is there any, wiggle room?
Well, it's not straightforward, and that's another key point here. If you absolutely must change or commute a vow, Beatrice says you can't just swap it for something of equal value. No, it demands offering something clearly better, something of superior value in its place.
Okay, so a higher offering is needed.
Yes, and crucially, it also requires proper guidance and authorization from a competent authority. In Dante's context, that means the church. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that for these major life commitments, seeking external wisdom, maybe some validation, isn't just a good idea, it might actually be necessary.
That idea, the seriousness of our word, but also the need for guidance if we have to change course, that feels incredibly relevant today for all sorts of decisions we make, right?
It really does. So after Dante absorbs this pretty intense teaching, the journey continues upward. The canto describes the shift, the transition to the second heaven, Mercury.
And how does Dante show that? Is it like, I don't know, passing through a gate or something?
It's actually quite beautiful, a recurring thing in paradise. The signal of ascent is Beatrice herself. Her radiance, her brightness suddenly increases almost overwhelmingly. Her growing light is the marker that they've moved higher.
Ah, okay. So they arrive in Mercury. Now, traditionally, that sphere is linked with, earthly ambition, maybe fame or glory. And there they meet Emperor Justinian.
Exactly. And his placement there is fascinating. Justinian, this figure who did immense earthly good, reforming Roman law, a huge achievement. But he's in Mercury. Why? Well, it ties into this theme Dante explores, the gradation of virtue.
Gradation of virtue, meaning?
Meaning that even really noble actions might still have, let's say, mixed motivations. Maybe alongside the desire to do good, there's also a desire for earthly recognition, for fame. It subtly pushes us, the readers, to examine our own intentions. Why do we do the good things we do?
So even when you're doing the right thing, the why behind it still matters. The intention is key.
Precisely. But Justinian isn't just presented as an example of potentially mixed motives. He talks about his great work, codifying Roman law, the Corpus Juris Civilis, and says he was inspired by the Holy Spirit to do it.
Okay, so divine inspiration for earthly law.
Yes. And then he gives this sweeping account of the history of the Roman imperial eagle, the symbol of the empire's power and reach.
Right, and isn't there a really surprising part in that history? Something about the crucifixion.
Yes, this is probably one of the most complex and debated points.
Yes.
Justinian traces the eagle's history through figures like Caesar and Augustus, and then he states that under Tiberius, the emperor, during Christ's crucifixion, the empire, symbolized by the eagle, effectively willed Christ's death.
Willed it.
To avenge original sin.
Wait, the Roman Empire avenging original sin by executing Christ? That seems completely backwards to how we usually think about it.
It is jarring, isn't it? But from Dante's perspective, which Justinian voices here, it's about seeing God's plan working through human history, even through flawed institutions like the empire. He frames Rome, the eagle, as an unwitting instrument of divine will. The crucifixion becomes part of this vast universal plan of salvation, orchestrated even through the actions of an earthly power that didn't fully understand its role. It suggests justice can manifest through these enduring systems, these institutions.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So thinking about all this, the weight of promises, the need to check our intentions, seeking guidance, even this idea of big historical forces playing a role in a divine plan, how does this connect back to us? Why should these ideas from a 700-year-old poem matter for our journeys now?
Well, I think they offer really timeless guidance, don't they? Think about a serious promise you've made or maybe a big decision you're facing. Have you really considered the weight of that commitment, like Beatrice urged? Are your motives purely for the good itself, or is there maybe a little bit of that desire for recognition mixed in, like with the souls in Mercury? Are you looking for wisdom, for guidance from others when you need it, especially if you need to change course? And maybe even thinking about how larger structures or principles of justice and order in your own life or community rely on something bigger than just individuals.
So they're not just theological concepts. They're almost like practical tools for navigating life. This fifth canto really does remind us about, well, the deep responsibility that comes with our words, the importance of looking at why we do things, the value of seeking counsel, and this fascinating idea of justice working through enduring structures.
And this marks our 72nd deep dive, exploring the wisdom we can find in these incredible works.
So here's a final thought from Canto 5 for you to maybe mull over. Consider a promise you're currently keeping, or perhaps a crossroads you're at. How might these insights about the true weight of your word, the clarity of your intention, or the value of seeking wise counsel shed new light on your path forward? Something to think about. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.